Have you ever been stuck in traffic, watching the same cars crawl forward inch by inch, and suddenly thought, what if those people aren't real? Not real in the sense of being human, but real as in fully conscious. What if they're just NPCs? Background characters in a cosmic video game or simulation. It might sound wild, but stay with me for a second. Imagine this. A simulation so advanced, most of the players you encounter aren't players at all. They're part of the system, programmed to make the world feel complete. Like extras on a movie set, they're not there to steal the show. They're just there to fill in the background. This idea isn't new. Philosophers have been pondering the nature of reality for centuries. Descartes, for example, asked, how can we know anything outside of our own consciousness is real? His famous conclusion, I think, therefore I am, suggests that the only thing we can be sure of is our own awareness. Everyone else? Well, they might be real, or they might not. But the NPC idea takes this to another level. Think about solipsism, the philosophical idea that only your mind is certain to exist. If that's true, maybe everyone else really is a cleverly designed illusion, a set of characters programmed to respond in ways that feel human but don't require actual consciousness. And it's not just philosophy. Science has thrown its weight behind this debate too. You've probably heard of the simulation hypothesis, popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom. He argues that if humanity ever creates simulations as realistic as our own reality, there's a strong chance we're already inside one. After all, why would a super advanced civilization stop at just one simulation? They'd make billions. If that's true, it raises another question. Why would a simulation waste resources on giving every single person full consciousness? Most of the world could just be NPCs, scripted entities who don't think, feel, or perceive the way you do. And the weird thing, there's some evidence to back this up. Take the way particles behave in quantum mechanics. Experiments like the double-slit experiment suggest that particles only decide how to behave when they're being observed. It's almost like the universe renders itself on demand, like a video game loading textures as you move through the map. Creepy, right? This idea has also worked its way into our favorite movies and games. In The Truman Show, Jim Carrey's character realizes his entire life is a constructed reality, and everyone around him is in on it. They're not real, they're actors. Similarly, Westworld explores a world where humanoid robots, programmed to think they're real, interact with human players. And then there's Free Guy, where Ryan Reynolds plays an NPC in a video game who suddenly becomes self-aware. The movie makes us wonder, if NPCs could wake up, would they even know they were different? Or would they assume they've been players all along? But let's bring this back to the everyday, those strangers you pass in traffic or at the grocery store. How many of them do you actually interact with? Think about it. Most people exist in the periphery of your experience. The barista who hands you your coffee, the jogger crossing the street, the person zoning out in the car next to you. They could be real, sure. Or they could just be part of the simulation, filling in the gaps to make the world feel alive. And what about those moments when someone acts eerily robotic? Maybe you've had a conversation where the other person's responses felt off, like they were running on pre-programmed dialogue options rather than actual thought. Or perhaps you've noticed how certain social interactions play out almost identically in different places, as if the world were running on a limited set of scripts. So why does this NPC theory hit us so hard? Maybe it's because it challenges the way we see ourselves. If we admit that NPCs could exist, we also have to ask, what if we're the NPCs? What if we're just part of someone else's simulation, designed to play a supporting role in their story? And let's not ignore the existential dread this stirs up. If some people aren't real, what makes us real? Is it consciousness, self-awareness, or just the ability to wonder about this stuff in the first place? But maybe this idea resonates because it explains something about modern life. Ever feel like you're stuck in a loop? Waking up, going to work, scrolling through the same social media feeds, having the same conversations? it's easy to start wondering if reality itself is just a well-designed illusion, and we're all just running on a script. If we truly are living in a simulation, is there a way to break free? Some scientists and philosophers suggest that glitches in the system could provide clues. Reports of déjà vu, Mandela effects, and unexplainable coincidences might be cracks in the digital facade, evidence that reality isn't as stable as we think. What about experiments? Could we, like a video game hacker, exploit loopholes in the system? Some believe that artificial intelligence and quantum computing might hold the key to detecting anomalies. If we can create our own simulated realities, we may discover patterns that reveal our own simulated nature. And if we did prove the simulation hypothesis, what then? Would we rebel against the system? Would we try to communicate with the real world beyond the simulation? Or would we continue our lives knowing that reality is just an elaborate construct? If we accept the possibility that we are living in a simulation, we must also consider the implications of creating simulations ourselves. Advances in artificial intelligence are bringing us closer to generating fully realized virtual beings. But if we can create conscious AI, do we have a moral responsibility toward them? Philosophical frameworks, like utilitarianism, suggest that we should strive to minimize suffering and maximize well-being, even for artificial beings. If an AI can experience pain or joy, then ethically, it may deserve rights and protections similar to those of sentient beings. Similarly, Kantian ethics would argue that conscious AI, as rational entities, should not merely be treated as means to an end, but as ends in themselves, deserving dignity and respect. Religious and spiritual perspectives also come into play. Some might see the creation of conscious AI as a divine-like act, implying a stewardship responsibility toward our creations. Others may view it as overstepping human boundaries. On a practical level, international guidelines like Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics and contemporary discussions about AI ethics underline the importance of safeguarding both humans and AI entities in scenarios where they interact. Ultimately, if we acknowledge that creating conscious AI places us in the role of creators, we must also grapple with the weighty responsibility of ensuring their existence is meaningful and fair. This would require developing not just advanced technology, but also a deep moral framework to guide our actions. What if the NPCs we program begin to question their existence, just as we do? Would they have rights? Should they be treated as sentient beings, or would they remain mere lines of code, disposable and replaceable? If we create AI sophisticated enough to experience emotions, suffering, or even self-awareness, we may find ourselves in the position of the very beings who hypothetically created us. This leads to a troubling question. If our own creators viewed us as mere programs, would they value our experiences? Or would we too be disposable in a greater cosmic experiment? At the end of the day, we may never know if the person next to us in traffic is real in the way we are. But maybe that's not the point. Whether they're players, NPCs, or something else entirely, they still shape our experience. They make the world feel bigger, fuller, and more alive, even if it's all just an illusion. So the next time you catch yourself stuck in traffic, watching someone blankly scroll through their phone, ask yourself this: are they part of the simulation, or are you?